Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Wednesday, November 5th. Ian Cameron and Alex B. Smith. We'll have Perlo joining us for his regular Wednesday guest spot as well in a little bit. And we're ready to break down the Wednesday NHL card. We got 5 games on tap tonight. We'll get to those in just a bit. As always, we'll start with a look back toward what we saw on Tuesday night. And as always, a very hectic, busy night of activity in the NHL. It began with the Carolina Hurricanes putting up another goose egg. Well, the Rangers struggling to score at MSG. This is a recording. And Carolina ends up with the 3-0 shutout win over the New York Rangers. That was pretty bad from the New York Rangers, considering you're talking about a goalie that was in there that was hadn't played yet this season. 3 starting defensemen out, still unable to muster a single goal and light the lamp even one time last night. One time at home last night against the Carolina Hurricanes. And I'm frustrated because I was back and forth the whole day going into yesterday's show for the best bet, which was going to come from that game either way, but I chose over instead of Carolina, and I'm very upset about that. But nevertheless, Carolina at least got it done. We had Carolina on the money line there, and just another game goes by at MSG where really, other than the San Jose game, which looks like an anomaly at this point, the New York Rangers just have been unable to get things going offensively at home, and they get shut out 3-0 by Carolina last night. How about the Boston Bruins? Boy, oh boy, 4-3. They get the job done in a shootout over the New York Islanders last night. Very entertaining game. Obviously, we saw the moment during the game with Zadorov going after the rookie Matthew Schaefer. And I love that the Anders Lee and a bunch of the Islanders, kind of got in there, defended their young stud rookie sensation on the blue line. And it was great to see that. That's what you want to see. And the Islanders certainly, got to stick up for your guy in that situation. Zadorov taking his liberties there physically with the young defenseman. But nevertheless, you give Boston some credit too. How about the heroics of Marat Husnudinov, who got the tying goal for Boston late in the third period to put that game over the total, which obviously made me very happy. A bunch of us were on the over in that Bruins-Islanders game. And, of course, got the shootout winner as well. So nice win there for Boston. A 4-3 win over the New York Islanders. Philadelphia jumping on Montreal in the first period with 3 goals. Montreal responding with 4 in the second to take a 4-3 lead. This is where Rick Tocchet coached teams and why I like Rick Tocchet as a coach. It'd be so easy to have that game just totally slip away from you if you're Philadelphia after blowing the 3-0 lead and then going down 4-3. But they ended up coming back, tying that game up 4-4. In the third period, and then got the job done with a 5-4 shootout win. So a nice early season test of adversity, if you will, for the Philadelphia Flyers there, getting the 5-4 win over the Montreal Canadiens in that game. A game they deserved to win anyway. Utah bounces back from a couple of losses to beat the Buffalo Sabres 2-1 in overtime. Clayton Keller with the game-winning goal in overtime in what was a good goaltending game, especially from Lyon, who faced 35 shots, turned aside 33 of them, and Utah getting the 2-1 win there over the Buffalo Sabres. I'll say this, when Buffalo loses, they're competitive right now. Certainly, give them credit, and they're stacking points. Even in the loss last night, they pick up another point in the overtime loss. So definitely good to see for Buffalo as they try to continue to make inroads. We saw Dallas beat Edmonton 4-3 in a shootout last night. Great response from Dallas, down 2-0 in that game, and they rallied to obviously take a 4-3 shootout win. Rantanen was sensational. What a goal by Heiskanen there, where the puck bounced off the end boards, and it was right at the side. And there's Heiskanen basically putting his head down from the red line, getting it down to the goal line, and just getting to that puck and putting it in a wide open net off the boards. That's all instincts. That's all hustle. That's all awareness from Miro Heiskanen. Outstanding stuff from him. And the Stars with a 4-3 shootout win and finally getting some of that offense going. That's a gutsy win for Dallas. They had 3 of their 4 centers out. They had 5 regular forwards out for that game against Edmonton. And to find a way to win after being down 2-0 give the Stars a lot of credit. That's definitely one of their better wins of the season. A wild finish with Nashville and Minnesota. My goodness. Minnesota's up 2-1. The puck hits the official, if I'm not mistaken, on a clearing attempt by Minnesota, and somehow it stays in the zone, and it ends up on the stick of Steven Stamkos, who wires a one-timer past Philip Gustafsson to tie it with 2 seconds left in the third period and send it to overtime. And then I'm sure a lot of you have seen it by now. Useless Onanen, our old buddy there, Eustace Onanen for Nashville, decides, I'm going to slam into the post, knock the net off purposely. And of course, Minnesota is awarded a goal. And he didn't know the rule, apparently, that when the goal is when the net is knocked off intentionally, deemed intentional by the goaltender in overtime, it's an automatic goal for the other team. Not a penalty, not a 2-minute delay a game, an automatic goal. So everybody's screaming and crying about how, Nashville got robbed. It's the biggest bunch of nonsense you'll ever hear. First of all, it's the rule that when a goalie or anybody knocks off the net intentionally in overtime, the other team gets awarded a goal. I have no sympathy for Useless Onanen. It was just he lost his mind at that moment. A dumb thing to do, an idiotic thing to do, knock the net off. And then Andrew Burnett, I don't know what he was yelling about. He's got to learn the rule book. He's got to learn that that's something you can't do. Clearly, and I think that puck would have went in on the doorstep if Onanen doesn't knock the net off intentionally. So, like I said, it was just an absolutely crazy ending there, and Minnesota gets a 3-2 win, and that's 2 wins in a row for the Wild. Some baby steps, and you only played Vancouver and Nashville, but it's baby steps for Nashville of trying to get out of the rut they were in. Colorado with a 3-2 win against Tampa Bay. This was a pretty entertaining hockey game, back and forth throughout the night. Pretty good goaltending from both guys. Vasilevsky was really good, even in a loss. Wedgwood was solid, keeping Tampa Bay off the scoreboard once they got that to 3-2. But the Avs get a nice 3-2 win there over the Tampa Bay Lightning and snapping Tampa Bay's 5-game win streak. Vegas 1-0. How about this? Expected a few more goals than that. But Vegas with a 1-0 win against Detroit. It was a very solid 24-save shutout performance from Akira Schmid. Gibson, even in defeat, played pretty solidly for the Red Wings. And our only goal of the game was actually one of the goal props I had in that game. Close shave, Barbashev with the only goal for the the Vegas Golden Knights in that game, defeating Detroit 1-0. And then in the latter stages of the night, we saw LA shut out Winnipeg 3-0. I give Kings credit, finally getting that first home win. They outshot Winnipeg 26-23. Kemper was very good in net, and the Kings got a couple of goals, and that was that. So give them credit here for a 3-0 win against the Winnipeg Jets. That's definitely one of the better performances, one of the better wins the Kings have had so far this season. They needed it to try to get off the schneid on home ice. Like I said, LA with a 3-0 win there. And then I think one of the stories of the night and the stories of the season to this point is what the quack, what the Anaheim Ducks continue to do. That was a Florida team that's the defending champs that had just lost to Anaheim at home recently. And then all of a sudden, here are the Anaheim Ducks. And that's why I'm glad I stuck to my guns with it. And I know Alex had 2 best bets last night, got a split with them. But one of them was Anaheim team total over, saying we just can't have this total at 2.5 and not bet it. With Florida consistently giving up 3 goals. And, they gave up a lot more than 3 last night. How about a 7 spot? 7-3 Anaheim. This offense is it's very dangerous. When you've got, obviously, the likes of Troy Terry, and you've got Leo Carlson, who ended up actually getting a game misconduct for a hit in the third period. But you've got them. You've got, obviously, Chris Kreider has completely transformed the power play for this group. Mason McTavish, and of all people, Cutter Gauthier, who, of course, gets the hat trick last night for the Anaheim Ducks. It was just an outstanding performance from him. They've got a ton of game breakers. They've got, obviously, a power play that's very lethal. Can they defend? Can that team defense be solid enough, good enough, and can, obviously, Lukáš Dostal live up to the hype that Alex and I kind of think we've been giving him as far as a goaltender? If those 2 things happen to go with that offensive potency they have, this becomes a very dangerous team, and we saw that last night in the 7-3 victory over the Florida Panthers. What a first month. Now, first month does not make a season, but boy, oh boy, you've got to be extremely impressed with the Anaheim Ducks and what Joel Quenneville has done in his first month behind the bench as head coach of the Anaheim Ducks. And I know it's November 5th. It's not even, just barely, I should say, 1 month into the season. But I'll say it right now. How does it sound to say the first place Anaheim Ducks? And that's where we are right now. Tied for first. They're tied with Vegas, but they are still tied for first right now in the Pacific Division with the Vegas Golden Knights. Hell of a start, and that building got very loud when Anaheim started to pull away in that third period. That's about as loud as I've heard the Honda Center in a very long time. And Alex, they're being given a lot of reasons to be loud right now.
Absolutely, and for those who may be younger or wasn't watching hockey in the early 2000s, the late 90s, that's how that old, before it was the Arrowhead Pond back then, but then when it came to Honda Center, that's how that place used to get really loud and rocking at times when that team's hot. And it's fun to see them playing well. I'm sure their fans have to be delighted because after years and years of miserable hockey and for that franchise to now be playing at this level, and once again, it's always great when you're seeing the prospects. You hear about the rebuild. You're hearing, let's wait. We're developing. You hear all these terms if you're a fan. And to see the progress, to see a Cutter Gauthier step up and deliver a natural hat trick, seeing Troy Terry delivering, seeing Lucas Dostal stepping up and looking like prime John Gibson did about 10 or 11 years ago, that's refreshing for Ducks fans, and it's refreshing for the league. It's fun to see that team when they're playing well because they have a good fan base, and like I said, they have been the story of the season so far. But like we have to say so far because we haven't been, like I said, a full month into the year, and things can change. And now that they're playing well, teams are. We say this about a lot of these teams that were bottom feeders. The Hawks. We've said this now about San Jose as well. These teams that used to be doormats, where teams would come into their arena or they would go into their arena and say, hey, we can, maybe play at 60, 70% speed and still win this game by margin. Can't do that anymore. You have to take these teams seriously, and you definitely cannot screw around with the Ducks because they will bury you. They have the defense now to solidify with the offensive talent, and that's the mastery of Joel Quenneville. He knows how to put together a balanced hockey team, and that's exactly what the Ducks have.
Yeah, they're still missing Ryan Strome and Radko Gudas too.
Yeah,
I mean, Radko Gudas.
So wait till they get the veteran balance back too. You got the young kids doing everything, and of course they're going to tire out at some point. They're going to falter. You get those veterans back in, and then they start adding to the equation. Sky's the limit.
No doubt about that. Absolutely. And like I said, exciting team to watch on a nightly basis. Again, you don't want to go crazy, say, oh, they're making the playoffs and none of this yet. Just be in the hunt if you're Anaheim throughout the course of this. Just be there to have a chance to make it into the postseason. That's your goal. There's still a long way to go. There's going to be obviously a part of the year where they stumble and they have a little bit of a rough patch. But like I said, they've certainly lots of reasons for optimism right now with the Anaheim Ducks. All right, let's get into Wednesday's card. We will begin with Utah and Toronto. We've got the Leafs minus 160, home favorite, 6.5, the total in this game. I can't lay minus 160 with you when you only play one period of hockey, and that's really what we saw from the Leafs against Pittsburgh, and they got away with it. That third period was so friggin' good that they were able to rally back and race a 3-0 deficit and come back to beat the Pittsburgh Penguins 4-3 on Monday night. But still, for two periods, that team was god freaking awful. I mean, they were terrible in the opening two periods of that game against the Pittsburgh Penguins. That being said, is it the wake-up call? Is it the kick in the pants that Craig Berube is hoping it is, and hoping for a stronger, better start here from the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight? Because certainly starting that way again, you're not going to be able to get away with it routinely. Utah with a 2-1 overtime win against the Buffalo Sabres. Solid victory for them. Good performance from Vejmelka. Vitek Vanacek will be the starting goaltender tonight on the back-to-back here for the Utah Mammoth. Not at all a surprise. As much as Andre Tourigny loves playing a heavy workload toward Vejmelka, you figured this was going to be a Vanacek start, and it is expected to be. Anthony Stolarz is also expected to be in net here for the Leafs in this game. Toronto is a crazy over team, and it continues. I mean, it continued in the Pittsburgh game the other night. That's now 8 straight Toronto games that have gone over. The Leafs are 9-1 to the over in their last 10 games. It's pretty crazy that they've gone on this kind of run. And what's contributed to it? The offense has been good enough. The power play hasn't always been good, but at 5-on-5, they've scored enough. The defense is taking a hit, though. Like, they are hemmed in their own zone. Their play in their D zone has not been as strong. They're not locking things down. Stolarz is at a inconsistent start to the year, even though I think you can say he was very good against Pittsburgh, allowing them to come back, and he's played a little bit better here these last couple games. So it's a combination of the defense maybe being not quite as good as it was last year, and also, they've done enough offensively to this point in the season, the Leafs. So will that continue here? I certainly wouldn't bet against it when you're on a run like this, 9-1 to the over. It's either you ride the over run or you stay off the game. So I will take that just based on the run that they're on, 9-1 and 8 straight overs, over 6.5. I'm going to sprinkle on Utah here, but I will say this. The back-to-back's a bit of a concern. Don't know if I trust Vanacek enough, but I've seen enough just inconsistency from the Leafs. I've seen enough lapses in games from the Leafs to say at plus 140, yeah, small shot on Utah. I'm cool with taking that. Alex, what do you think here? Utah, Toronto.
This is the one game I didn't like. I was leaning toward a draw, but like you said, with Vanacek, I don't trust in him enough. But also, like I said, this is a classic Toronto fold spot, especially laying this kind of a price. So it's going to be a pass for me. There's other spots and other games I like on this card.
Yeah, there are obviously, as far as the prop market goes in this game, I mean, here's the thing that stands out to me. It's our guy, Matias Maccelli, former member of the Utah Mammoth, traded in the offseason from the Utah to Toronto. Not to mention he's facing his former team for the first time, which automatically makes me intrigued to bet him to score a goal tonight. He's also back in the lineup after being a healthy scratch and being in Craig Berube's doghouse a little bit. Not being thrilled with the way his game had been trending. He did not play on Monday night against Pittsburgh, healthy scratch. So not only do you have him back in the lineup looking to make amends, and stay in the lineup, when you're a healthy scratch and you come back in the lineup, you want to make an impact. And you want to prove to your coach that he made a mistake, scratching you in the first place. So not only that, but you've got him facing his former team too in this game. So plus 450. We'll get involved with Maccelli for a goal prop tonight here in this game for the Leafs as far as that's concerned. Let me see what else is of interest here. Just the line combinations. If Nick Robertson's still on the top line, which he's with McMahon and Tavares, I think because it worked well putting Nylander with Matthews and Nyes, that's what kind of turned that game around against Pittsburgh. I could see Berube sticking with that. But still, McMahon and Robertson might be worth a look here as well for the Toronto Maple Leafs in this game. And then as far as the Utah Mammoth are concerned, you look at some of their recent offensive performances. Lawson Krause is someone I think that might be a down the radar type of shot. He started to chip in a little bit of late. So like I said, interesting. Yeah. And Scott Laughton, as Bailey mentions, he's back in the lineup too. Now his is injury. His is not being a healthy scratch. He's returning from injury. We'll see how that goes. But I know one thing, Scott Laughton, Steven Lorentz, and Easton Cowan were a pretty good line in preseason. Will he put that line back together? Craig Berube. We'll have to wait and see on that. All right, St. Louis and Washington. We've got Washington minus 150, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. So Robert Thomas returns for the St. Louis Blues. As important a player as any on that Blues team. Top line center, both ends of the ice, everything he does, face-offs, you name it. He is huge to that team. And sure enough, the first game with him back, they rally from a deficit. They beat the Edmonton Oilers 3-2 the other night. It matters having Robert Thomas back. And when you snap a 7-game losing streak with that win against Edmonton, maybe it's a little something that gets St. Louis going, and they catch Washington at the right time here. Capitals are slumping. They've lost all of a sudden 4 in a row. They're not scoring. They lose to Buffalo the other night by a score of 4-3. And this has actually been a series history where the Blues have dominated, believe it or not. I can't count how many times that I have taken St. Louis against Washington over the years. This has just been a very, very good matchup. The Blues are 7-3 in the last 10 meetings against Washington, and they've won 4 of their last 5 times that they've taken this trip to D.C. So they have played very well against the Capitals in this building as well. So it's a momentum play for me. The price is solid, plus 130. You got a Blues team that snapped the long 7-game losing streak, a little bit of pep and momentum, and a little, bounce in their step now, taking the ice tonight against Washington after finally snapping the skid. They played Washington well over the years. Capitals are, kind of in a funk right now. So I like St. Louis here, plus 130. And I'm going to sprinkle it with or split it, I should say, with team total over 2.5 at minus 130 as well for the St. Louis Blues. That's something I like to do with the underdog bets in particular. So St. Louis money line, plus 130. St. Louis team total over 2.5, minus 130. We'll split it between those two bets here. Alex, what do you think? St. Louis, Washington. This is your TNT game, by the way.
Right. Yeah, and I probably will add a little bit of that team total, but I had dog and draw split. That's my feel with this one. And like I said, this is a game that St. Louis needs. Like I said, we've been talking about urgency and desperation early with a lot of teams. I think this is one of those spots tonight where St. Louis, like I said, against a team that they've done well with historically, need to just have an A+ game all around. And I feel like they could have that tonight. It's a Washington team I don't trust laying this kind of price even at home. So it's Blues, but I did sprinkle a little bit on the draw, and I'll probably grab a little bit of team total with them as well.
There we go. Good stuff. Yeah, and like I said, he does make that much of a difference for the Blues, no doubt. Robert Thomas, no doubt. Pius Suter, don't sleep on this Dalibor Dvorsky. I really like what he's given the Blues on the third line. I think from a prop standpoint, he's worth a look here tonight in this game. Dylan Strome, Ovechkin. They're trying Beauvillier potentially again on that top line. We'll have to see if that works. It's a big if in my opinion. Protas, Wilson, and McMichael. We'll see how that goes right now. So like I said, Washington slumping. Good price for St. Louis, just considering the success they've had against Washington. So like I said, we'll bounce back here with the Blues. I said I stayed away from them for a while. The last 4 or 5 games, the first few they lost. Now they finally won. Build a little momentum. Like I said, we'll see if they can do that here tonight. All right, next up we've got, as we continue along here, by the way, Perlo will be along in just a moment. Columbus and Calgary. We've got even money here, minus 110 both sides, 6 the total here in this game. Now I think it's a situation here with the Jackets and the Flames where it's, Calgary did win against Philly. We give them a little credit for that. 2-1 against the Flyers, needed it desperately, finally got on the off the schneid and got a win. But I think when you look at this matchup here against Columbus, Columbus coming off a loss to the Islanders, didn't play their best, really needed Merzlikins to play well, and he did. I know there was that shot of Elvis Merzlikins after that loss to the Islanders, basically on the sitting on the bench, just putting his head down and just frustration and, just disconsolate, despondent over losing that game where the Islanders got tied it late and then won it in the dying few minutes of that game. So, like I said, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Yeah, there's the ties to Johnny Gaudreau, of course, that both of these franchises have. We'll see how it goes. But I just think anytime I see Calgary in this kind of a price range, I don't mind going against them here. I'd love to see a Greaves versus Wolf matchup here in between the pipes tonight. And we are indeed going to see a Greaves versus Wolf. I forgot to mention Jordan Binnington starting for St. Louis. Not a surprise because Hofer's been really fighting it this year. And, of course, Binnington was in net for that losing streak snapping win against Edmonton. So no surprise that Jim Montgomery's rolling back with Jordan Binnington tonight. But Jack Greaves and Dustin Wolf is the matchup here in net for the Jackets and the Flames. So this could be an under, believe it or not, because I thought Wolf played one of his better efforts of the season against Philadelphia. He was very sharp in that game, and I could see this maybe being a tighter, lower scoring affair between the Jackets and the Flames in this game. So lean under. But at this price, I mean, I can only look toward the Columbus side. I think Calgary's not a team I'm going to be looking at to be in these competitive price ranges. Maybe if I get a big underdog price with Calgary in certain good spots, then I'll maybe make a case for the Flames. But at even money, with just the lack of punch that we're seeing right now from this Calgary team offensively, just puts so much stress on their defense. It puts so much stress on Dustin Wolf. And the Jackets have been a good road team this year, actually, believe it or not. And the Flames have struggled at the Saddle Dome. I think Calgary, if I'm not mistaken, still stuck on one home win this year. So they haven't exactly played good hockey at home, 1-4. Yeah, Columbus is 4-2 on the road. In fact, Columbus has a better road record than home record. So, yeah, Jackets for me at minus 110. Alex, what do you think? Jackets, Flames?
I grabbed Jackets this morning. There's still even money around that FanDuel. So this plus money, shop around to try and get that. But like I said, that's definitely a spot where I like Columbus. We like Greaves. We don't mind backing him as a backup. And like I said, with Wolf in net, could maybe see an under, but the way I'm going to play this, I'm going to put a small piece on a goal in the first 5 minutes, plus 160. Should that cash now? Because I'm looking at some 6.5s at some books. So shop around too with that 6.5 on that total. We get to a 7 or a 7.5. I'd much rather lay 140, 150 with that than lay 135 with 6.5 if I get a goal early in the contest. So that's the way I might play that total. I could see where maybe there's a goal early and then things kind of slow down as we get through this contest, especially like I said, with both these goaltenders that we like. But I do think Columbus gets to win here.
All right, good stuff. Perlo now in the house. Perlo, what do you think here? Jackets, Flames.
I really don't like going against teams that have really bad road trips and it's their first game home. But like you said, Calgary is like, I just can't back them. I just can't back them right now at all. So I am going to take Columbus here. But I'm primarily going to go on props. I'm also taking, because I think the Flames are going to play balls out as much as they can today. I am taking a little bit on the draw here. It's kind of an island spot for Columbus. They don't have another game for a while after this. I don't know what you're going to do in Calgary, but what they might be getting excited about for that. But I could see them kind of looking ahead. I could see them being kind of lethargic in this spot. It's not the greatest town to go to. You get to go out west, and you're going to play Calgary and Vancouver. I could see it being a little bit of a lethargic spot. So I am going to take the draw here, but mostly I'm going to go with props. Farabee's up on the top line. As I saw it this morning, I don't know if that's changed, but it probably hasn't. When he's on the top line, he gets over 1.5 shots all the time, every time. He doesn't score. I wouldn't take him for a goal, but he gets over 1.5 shots, and that's minus 142. So I'm going to take a shot at that. They also have Connor Zary on the other side on that too. So when he gets his opportunities up there, he usually does a little something. So at plus 380, I'm taking a little bit on him. Anderson over 1.5 shots. Again, that's every single day. I take that. It's not going as well as it was last year, but I think here it will go pretty well. Also, Wood is going up. He's been playing really well from the fourth line, and they've got him up on the second line right now. So he doesn't often play well against tougher competition, but at plus 525 and the way he's been rolling, I think he has 4 goals in 7 games or something like that. I'm going to take a shot at him up there. Voronkov over 1.5 shots is a really good one. I'm going to go back to Werenski too. He didn't have the best game last game. He was flying pretty good, but before that, he was scoring quite a bit. And I think this is a spot where they might be going back to the point quite a bit. So I'm going to take Werenski for a goal. Johnson, he's the man out, but not the man out. He's going to be on the bottom line this game. And to get him for under 0.5 points is minus 148. I'm going to take a shot at that. He hasn't been playing very well, and I don't think he's going to play very well down there on the fourth line. So I'm taking him for that. And then I'm going to go the Monahan angle, back in Calgary. There's going to be Gaudreau residue going on here as well. Some feel-good stuff. And that's another reason why I like to draw here. There's an energy about Gaudreau being a Calgary guy. I think there's a lot of feel-good kind of stuff. And subconsciously, I think they both might even be happy with the draw. So I could see the draw happening. But I'm going to take him to get a goal as well. He's been passing off quite a bit, but maybe in this game he'll shoot a little more. As you can tell, it's not my favorite game in the world, but I'll take a little bit on CBJ to finish it just because Calgary's not playing that well, a little bit on the draw.
All right, good. So I like the Miles Wood look. Miles Wood was the one that stuck out to me. And Landon's on top of it in the chat saying he scored in 3 straight road games. He scored last game. He's over plus 500 to score, so Miles Wood makes sense. Yes, Monahan's not bargain bin price range, but still plus 276 is the best price out there for Monahan. Find that's still pretty good, and I expect him maybe to make an impact here back in Calgary. So Monahan goal prop makes a ton of sense to me here as well. You mentioned Farabee being up on the top line with Gaudry and Connor Zary, so definitely Joel Farabee probably worth a shot there. as well. Sharon Govich, even though he's down the lineup, Sharon Govich has suddenly scored in almost half the team's recent games of late as well. So keep an eye on that. And Werenski might be worth a shot. Werenski has scored in 3 of the last 5 games this season, or 3 of the last 5 games for the Jackets, and he's plus 370 here to find the back of the net. So, like I said, and I'm looking forward to this from a goaltending standpoint. Jack Reeves has shown me enough in his early career that he might be able to make a little something for himself at this level. We know Dustin Wolf long term. He's going to be fine. He's going to be a great goalie. But yeah, Jack Reeves, 2.67 goals against average, 916 save percentage from Cambridge, Ontario, which is like 30 minutes from me. So we obviously want Jack Reeves to do well, no question about that. All right, next up, Chicago and Vancouver. We've got the Canucks minus 160, minus 170 actually in some spots here now as home favorites. The total sitting at 6, shaded to the over here in this game. This is just one of these deals where even though Chicago's hit a bit of a rough patch here in recent games, I think the effort, well, the Winnipeg game is the one exception. I didn't think they played particularly well in the loss to the Winnipeg Jets. But outside of that, this is a team where the effort's been solid. The effort's been there. Just haven't been able to suddenly pot goals the last couple. You know, the 3-2 loss to Edmonton in overtime. 3-1 loss to Seattle, where I thought there were good portions of that game where they outplayed the Seattle Kraken. They outshot them 30-24. So you factor that in, and, you know, it probably deserved a little bit better fate. Joey Decord was really good in that game. Now you get a Vancouver team that, you know, still is dealing with a lot of injuries here coming off that road trip. Vancouver still missing Bluger and Hedel and Forbert and Hoglander and Lekaramaki. Now they have gotten, obviously, Quinn Hughes, Brock Besser. Those are a couple of the, you know, 2 of their most important players that have come back from injury here in recent games. The only thing I'm hesitant on, because Chicago certainly probably end up on Chicago for a small bet here, that damning series history of theirs against Vancouver. Like, they have not beaten Vancouver, and it seems like forever. It's 11 or 12 wins in a row now for the Vancouver Canucks over the Chicago Blackhawks. Of course, Vancouver beat them in Chicago earlier this season once already by a score of 3-2 in a shootout. But the one thing about Chicago is, you know, they've been in most games. There's only been, I think, 2 or 3 of their losses that have been multiple goal margins of defeat so far this season. Yeah, they played 13 games, and 10 of those 13 games they've either won or they've lost by a goal. So, you know, that tells you how competitive this Chicago Blackhawks team has been. I'm going to still do the dog and draw split. I'm also going to sprinkle on the draw here in this game with Chicago and Vancouver. I know the series history is horrific, but if there's ever a time Chicago's finally going to knock off Vancouver, it couldn't set up much better for this. You got a hungry team here in the Blackhawks, 3 losses to start this road trip, trying to salvage a win here with this road trip. You got Vancouver coming off 3 straight games on the road, still battling some injuries, coming back home for that first game. Vancouver team that once again this year, just like last year, has played better, won more games on the road than they have at home. They entered tonight 5-4 on the road, but just 2-3 at home coming into this one. So there's enough meat on the bone, and this price is good enough to still, in spite of that awful series history and the double-digit losing streak head-to-head to Vancouver, in spite of that, still enough there to make me want Chicago here at plus 150, and I'll split that up with the draw in this game as well. Alex, what do you think here? Blackhawks, Canucks?
Yeah, I'm right there with you on dog and draw split. This is a spot the Hawks must have. Like I said, the way that this road trip is gone, you've played hard, but you don't have the points to show for it. You got to get a win here, and this needs to be one of the better efforts of the entire season from Chicago at plus 150. Like this spot, more than likely going to be Spencer Knight going up against Kevin Lankinen, former Hawk, and you know, like I said, Lankinen, he's been the better road goalie. You know, at home, we've seen he's somebody that can be got.
Now, he was the goalie of victory against Chicago earlier this year in Chicago, but it was a close game still. Yeah,
and because of him being in net, that's a bargain bin play that I'll be talking about a little bit later, and it involves specifically Lankinen. But this is a game I like the Hawks in this spot. I think this is a good price, and like I said, with Spencer Knight back in that, no knock on Soderblom at this point because he's played well, but the team just has a little bit more energy when number 30 is in net. So give me the Hawks here, a little bit of the draw. There's a couple of player props I'll be talking about a little bit later on.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, JT, you're onto it. Yeah, it's like you've read the script, not the script, but you've read my prop card tonight. But yeah, Ilya Mikheyev is of interest. Yes, former player angle involved there, of course. Taking on his former team here, no doubt. Interested there as far as a prop in this game tonight on the Chicago side of things.
Good prop game, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. So there's one. I mean, ride the hot hand too with Burakovsky. He's feeling it right now for Chicago, playing with Bedard and Green right now. And of course, Connor Bedard's back in Vancouver, so he'll have the Bedard family, I'm sure, will be in attendance. So you can't lose sight of that either. Connor Bedard's going to want to show out early and often tonight, I'm sure, in front of the home family. Home
I agree.
And the family. So, like I said, we'll see what kind of night Mr. Bedard has here against the Vancouver Canucks. Let's see what Chicago's got in them. Like I said, this is a big one because you don't want to go 0-4 on this road trip with another loss to Vancouver here tonight. What do you think here, Perlo, Chicago, Vancouver?
Yeah, I actually really like the way Foote has this Vancouver team playing. They're playing with a lot of heart right now. I just saw a little thing on him and a lot of interviews with the players, and they're really impressed with him. I didn't know what we were going to get from Foote, but I'm really impressed. It's a tough one for me. I've been off the Blackhawks on the road. I just think that their defense gets exposed quite a bit on the road. Now, Knight hadn't been I hadn't been able to get Knight over saves. I do like Knight over saves in this game quite a bit. And like I said, I'm more on the props here than anything. But I do have a draw as well in this game. This is another one that feels much like a draw game. I think the Blackhawks, like you, are going to come out with the best effort of the road trip here. And I think Vancouver is playing also still desperate hockey, even though they had a successful little trip there. I would lean to Vancouver at plus 150, Blackhawks at plus 150 here, simply because of the price and the spot that they're in. I'm not sure if I'm going to put anything on it, but I got some interesting props. Pettersson hasn't had a shot on goal in 5 games. 5 games, this guy hasn't had a shot on goal. So I'm taking him under 1.5 shots at plus 142. That's a good price. I've actually been betting that already anyways. One of the reasons why he hasn't been, he's just been passing off. And the guy he's been passing off to is Kane. So Kane is going to be up there. Chicago's not a very good shot suppression team, and that's one of the biggest problems that they have. So I'm going to take Kane over 2.5 shots. You can get that at minus 130. That's not bad. He's been hitting it. But my favorite one here is Hughes. I saw Hughes when Hughes comes back. He's got fresh legs. He's really taken this team on his back, at least from the game that I saw. And I think they're going to be using him all over the ice today. So I'm taking him over 2.5 shots at minus 115. And I'm going to take him for a goal at plus 340 as well. I think this is a spot where he'll score. And you already mentioned Bedard. Bedard has been the best player on this road trip, no doubt about it. He's been fantastic. And I don't think that's going to change here in his hometown with his family and everything. I'm taking him over shots it's at 2.5 at minus 170, but I'm going to ladder it. I'm going to take the minus 270 and I'm going to ladder it up into plus money at 3.5. I may even go 4.5 here. He doesn't really have much up the middle of the fight against. You got Pettersson, and then, well, we know the other fellow that you might want to put money on. What's that second line center that they just picked up from Chicago? But not much. So there's not much up on the middle. I think Bedard's going to have a big game here today. I'm going to take him for a goal, take him for assist. And I'll go back to Burakovsky. He's been playing. He's the other guy that's been playing really well, that whole top line. Sherwood's on the top line. Play him. You know, he missed last game, but I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to Sherwood. And I'll go. Nazer had a bad game last game, and I don't think I've ever seen him have a bad game 2 games in a row. played against a real shot percent like Seattle is really good. It's one thing they're really good at is repressing shots, and he seemed to struggle. But he's going to, again, I just said that Vancouver is not very strong up the middle, so I'm going to take him over 1.5 shots, and he'll probably pot one today. But I also got the draw first period. I think this is going to be a tight first period game. Vancouver, and I could see it 0-0, 1-1, either one. I don't know. But I don't think one team's going to have an advantage over the other. Although I think Vancouver, possibly, they played a lot of road games. They're coming in a little bit fat. I could see Chicago having more heart in the end and coming through in this one.
Yeah, there's a couple first period looks. I'm going to look at a live first period goal in the first period, I should say, for Chicago. It's -140 right now. Like, I might put just a little small amount on that, and then I add more at a better price live during the first period, where we can then get Chicago to get a goal in the first period at that -120 or better, which I normally is the price that I look for. So, but I do think Chicago can get on the board early. You know, that -0.5 plus 225 is what I see with a first period puck line on Chicago. -0.5 plus 225. That is awfully tempting. That is awfully tempting because Burakovsky, Bedard, they've all talked about it, that they need to start better, start ready to go, come out with a good, strong 20 minutes here. Probably emphasize that even more, knowing Vancouver's coming off the 3-game roadie. So maybe just a little bit of a dabble, too, in that -0.5. The price is something else, plus 225. That's one heck of a price, worth a shot.
Yeah.
If you want to be safer, you could go plus 125, as Rich says, money line with Chicago in the first period. But I think I might go for the big score, -0.5, plus 225. That's a hell of a price.
It's funny. Someone was asking.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Perlo.
Now that you mention it, actually, you've talked me into the over first period here. I just think that Chicago, like they have been talking, got to get going. It was Burakovsky called the whole team out after the game last game.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to dig yourself a deficit night in and night out. No,
I'm gonna take a little bit on the over first period here too.
Someone in the chat yesterday was asking about the lore of the Ice Guys and different things with the history of the show. If you remember, those who've watched it all this years, the first period over trend started with this exact matchup. It was Patrick Kane back in 2019 saying we need to get off to a better start, and then they started up against Vancouver, and that's the trend. That was the day that the trend actually started, where they went 19-2 on the first period over way back in 2019. So it's kind of funny how things come a little full circle in that sense, where you got the team on this road trip out west in Vancouver saying we need to start a little early. So yeah, might need to take a little first period over myself as well.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Let's rock and roll, and on we go. We've got our that's not it. That was yesterday. We'll change that. There we go. San Jose Sharks, Seattle Kraken, our final game of this Wednesday slate. We've got Seattle -170, home favorites, and the total sitting at 6, shaded to the over in this game. Of course, Chicago just recently played Seattle. Seattle got a 3-1 victory in that game against the Chicago Blackhawks, looking to keep it rolling here tonight as they take on the San Jose Sharks. I'm interested in San Jose. There's a dog heavy card for me in this Wednesday night slate. I mean, I like the Blues a little bit. I like Utah a little bit. Chicago, obviously, we just talked about in the last game. And in this game, I just think when you're talking Seattle in this kind of a price range, bigger favorites, not necessarily in love with. I think this is one of the bigger favorite price ranges they've been in this year. They've also gone 2-3 in the last 5 meetings against San Jose. San Jose has played, Seattle pretty tough since the Kraken entered the league when it's all said and done. So we'll see if that continues here. You've got a San Jose team that's been obviously very competitive. You go back to the start of their 4-game road trip in the latter part of October. They played the Islanders, Rangers, Devils, and Wild. They split. They went 2-2. The losses were a 1-goal loss to the Islanders and a 3-1 loss to New Jersey. We've had obviously a great start to the season. They come back home. They lose 4-3 to LA in a game they dominated LA. Should have beaten them. Deserved the win against the Los Angeles Kings, but lost 4-3. 5-2, they beat the New Jersey Devils after that. 3-2 in overtime against obviously a very good Colorado team, and then they drop a 3-2 decision in a shootout to the Detroit Red Wings. So, like I said, this has been a feisty team. They've been in games. They're not the pushovers anymore to beat on a night in and night out basis. We know the abundance of talent they have. I'm waiting on goaltending confirmations because I'm positive we're going to see Decord for. Yes, we are definitely going to see Decord. It has been confirmed. I was hoping maybe we'd see maybe a Grubauer sighting, but I didn't think that was going to be possible. And it probably will be Yaroslav Askarov here for the Colorado Avalanche, or for San Jose. He got the win in his last start against the Colorado Avalanche, so we'll see if he gets another opportunity. Ryan Warsofsky continues to be pretty much back and forth when it comes to giving Askarov and Nedeljkovic the net so far this season for his team. So, yeah, I'm going to sprinkle here, at least sprinkle on San Jose plus 150. We're just waiting on the goalie confirmations here in this game. And this could be another one where Dog and also a tiny shot on the draw here as well in this game. Because if you look at Seattle, 2 of their last 3 games have gone to overtime. San Jose, each of their last 2 games have gone past regulation and cashed the draw. And the draw is actually cashed in 4 of the last 7 San Jose games. So we've seen a good abundance of games going beyond 60 minutes lately for both of these teams. So I think the draw could be in play here and very much a possibility. Alex, what do you think here? San Jose, Seattle.
Yeah, I guess it is a 3-dog and draw night, right? Like this spot makes sense, but I'm a little heavier on the draw here than Sharks. Like I said, plus 150. It's more of a fade Seattle at this price spot. So I'll nibble on the Sharks, pun intended, but liking the draw a bit more here in this. And I'll probably grab an overtime goal scorer. I don't have one yet, but check patreon.com. I will have one posted in the card.
All right, good stuff there. All right, Perla, what do you think here, San Jose, Seattle?
I'm right with Alex. I mean, there's so many, the draw here seems so likely. Seattle has struggled with San Jose. Looking at the road games, the San Jose, I actually thought they were going to have difficulties on the road, but they've kept it close pretty much every game they played on the road this year. Not the greatest teams in the world besides maybe New Jersey, but
don't look now. They've given up 3 or less in 3 straight games too. So slowly but surely, the team's defending a little bit better.
Yeah, Seattle has like the lowest shots for and shots against. I kind of lean the under here, to tell you the honest truth. I might even put a bet on it. I don't think either one of these teams, especially the only thing that has me kind of wondering is Askarov going to be able to play up to snuff? But even then, I kind of lean the under and I kind of lean the draw. Especially the draw. I think draw is the best play on this one. I do have props. Where San Jose can get in trouble, and what kind of worries me about them taking San Jose in this game is that on the road they can be exposed a lot in their lower lines. But there's a guy who does extremely well when playing against lower line, low depth team competition. And we all know and love him, Newman. I like Newman to score a goal, get plus 600. When he plays in these kind of
Johnny
spots,
Newman, yep.
Yeah, he has a tendency to score. He's got a great shot if he can get into the spots. And when he plays against lower competition, he tends to. So I like that. Tolvanen's going up on the top line. I like him for an assist. He can get him at plus 210. I also like him for a power play point at plus 380. But my favorite here on this card, probably as far as props are concerned, is I'm going back to Montour. He's been playing so well, he's been shooting the moon right now, and they're giving you at minus 142 for him to get over 2.5 shots. I'm going to be throwing probably most of my money on this game on that. Over 0.5 points is minus 105. I really like that as well. Schwartz for an assist at plus 170. For San Jose, if there's a goal, Orlov has usually got an assist on it, and he's plus 195 for an assist right now. I think he has eight assists in his last 10 games or something like that. Toffoli up on the top line. He's been shooting my over 2.5 minus 144. I like that. Use it as a parlay piece if you want. And Kurashev, of course, going back to Kurashev again. This guy's not a very good player, but he's just feeling it right now. So I'm going to take him for a goal and the over 1.5 shots. And Smith for a point, minus 118. He's been getting them a lot. So I'm going to take Smith for a point. Heavy prop day today. Heavy prop day. Go over to Perlo's NHL POW. I'll have all the props up there for you.
Good stuff. Yeah, for props for this game, as when I looked at it, Ellie Tolvanen's of interest because he's now on the top line for Seattle. Even though I think San Jose is live in this game, as I always say, it doesn't mean you can't take the other team and some of their props. Maybe look toward his streaky goal scorer. Maybe you look Jeff Skinner for San Jose. Did get on the board in the last game for them. He's getting, over plus 400 for him to find the back of the net tonight for the San Jose Sharks. We'll see if Gaudette's able to play. He's been certainly on the IR, missed the last 4 games, but there's a chance I'm hearing he might suit up tonight for the San Jose Sharks. But yeah, Tolvanen, there's value. Capo Caco, of course, just came back into the lineup. He's right now with Stevenson and Schwartz on that second line for the Seattle Kraken. So maybe a little bit of a shot there with Caco here as well. But yeah, those are a couple props I'm interested in there when it comes to Sharks and Kraken. All right, great stuff. Shout out. Oh, by the way, just before we get to the ads and best bets and bargain bin and all that, Perlo joined us late, so I'll give Perlo just a chance here to talk Utah, Toronto, and St. Louis, Washington. Anything you like with those 2 games?
I mean, this should be a Leaf spot. They're coming on. When teams do stuff like they did last game, they come back in the third and pummel. The coach has a really good opportunity to say, "Hey, you got lucky," and they can smack them around and tell them and get them moving, but they're still feeling good because they won the game. This should be a Toronto spot, but I don't trust, like you said, I don't trust Toronto worth a darn. I don't know what the heck this team is. I think the only thing I know is they're an offensive team, and Utah putting their backup goaltender in. Coming off that win against Buffalo, I think they're going to be feeling it still here. They're a good, fast team, and Toronto's defense has no mobility whatsoever, and the players that do have mobility suck at it. So I'm going to take the over 6.5. I'm going to take the Leafs team total over 3.5, and I'm going to take Utah team total over 2.5. I think this is going to go way over one. If we get the over and one of those 2 come in, we're green. So that's what I do with the team that I don't trust, like Toronto. You just never know what the hell's going to happen. This is a good live betting game. If Utah gets up, you can trust Toronto to come back. If Toronto gets up, wouldn't be surprised if Utah comes back. Those kind of, it's better live than I think anything else here. I'm going to also take both teams to score 2, and I do think the Leafs will score 3. So you got, I'm going to take both teams to score 2. The Leafs should come out hard in this first period after having that crappy first period before. Should. This is the Leafs now. So
that's the thing,
who knows
right?
what the hell they're going to do. But I'm going to say should.
Yes. We'll see.
I don't know. But I'm going to say they do. I'm going to give one more chance to the Leafs. Score a goal in the first period. That's all I ask. 1 goal in the first period against a team that's coming off of a road trip or coming off of a back-to-back and have their backup goaltender. You can score 1 goal. And then I'm going to take the Leafs team total over 2.5, a plus 111, put those all together and see if it comes up. As far as props, Nyes for an assist, Matthews over 3.5 shots. He's one guy that is shooting, and Nylander's going to be feeding him like crazy. He's trying to stay on that top line. He could stay on that top line if he would actually go in the defensive zone, but he won't do that. And he'll end up probably going back down. Tavares had a bad shot game last game. He's not going to do that again this game. I can't remember who they're flanking with them. I think it's like Robertson and Robertson and Mann. Yeah, I don't think he's passing to those guys. He's going to shoot this game. So I take him over 2.5 shots. Nylander for an assist. He's always good for that. You can get a minus 115. might be my favorite play in this whole game. If you really want to trust anything, Nylander will probably get an assist in this game. For Utah, Sergachev is assisting a lot. I got him at plus 135. Keller is shooting a lot. I think he's going to shoot a lot in this game. Plus 2.5 or over 2.5 at minus 125. And I'll go with you on the Michelli. Can't get him for an assist anywhere. If you can find him for an assist, I'd rather go with that because he's more of a playmaker than anything. But since you can't, it's the old team lane, so we'll go with the goal for that. Now, the St. Louis Blues, I think this Washington team is depressed. I really do. I think that I think Obi knows this is his last year. I really do. I think that's what's happening in that room. It's subconsciously, people can tell. He wears his emotions on his sleeve. And when I watch him play right now, there's that fire's not there. There's no fire in his eyes.
You know what it is? It's a physical and emotional hangover, I think, from maybe getting the record and everything that came with that circumstance. Yeah.
What am I playing for here now? Yeah. Here's a little thing, and I don't know how it was a Russian interview with his wife, and his wife told in the summer that this was going to be Obi's last year. And I'm getting the feeling that is probably the case. He's probably made a promise to his wife, and he's really sad. He just looks sad to me. And with I had the St. Louis Blues. I caught the falling knife with the St. Louis Blues in Edmonton. And I think they're just going to come back and do it again here. I think this Washington team is depressed. It just doesn't look great. It doesn't look good.
They're out of sorts right now. Yeah.
I like to take teams that get a win after a long losing streak anyways. You're getting the plus money, so I'll give it a shot. I'm also going to take the draw here. Again, I got a draw in every single game today because it's hard to trust St. Louis to score right now. So I could see this being tight. What do I got? Draw. I got draw.
I reward Perlo every draw tonight. Wow. Yeah.
I've got a draw in every game tonight for various amounts of money. I'm looking for my freaking notes here. That's the Oilers one. Just one sec.
Which draws did I end up on? I ended up on. I shouldn't talk. I got 3 of the 5 games I sprinkled on the draw: the Toronto game, the Chicago game, and the San Jose game.
We've been seeing close hockey. What 79% of the games have been decided by 1 goal.
I know. So if there's going to be times in the season where every game where it got something on the draw, maybe it's right now because we've seen a lot of 1-goal hockey. Yes, we have.
All of these teams are looking for points. Just get a point. You got the Olympic break coming up, and I think a lot of people are looking ahead to that. There's really tight scheduling, so legs are getting tired. It's like a perfect draw season right now. Beauvillier won't score, we know that, but he will get over 1.5 shots today. I can promise you that he will. He's the only one that is really shooting a lot on that team. This is a type of game where you're going to have. I think this is going to be a grindy type game. And on a grindy type game, Wilson gets a goal, plus 180. I like Wilson to get a goal. Chychrun over 2.5 shots in a grindy type game. Oh, and I read that after the last game, Carberry said, we are a team that's looking for our identity. Well, you were the President's Trophy last year. What was your identity last year? So they're trying to recreate their identity from last year.
I'll read the tea leaves. He doesn't think they're up to par compared to last year, at least not right now.
Yeah. So they're looking for their reason to win, is what I'm saying. And when a team's looking for their identity, almost always when a coach says that, get back to the basics. So drive to the net, shot from the point. I like Chychrun to get over 2.5 shots. And I like Wilson score goal for that reason, because that's how Wilson scores goals. As far as the Blues are concerned, I'm going to go with that Dvorsky kid. I really like him. He's got a really good opportunity here. He scored last game, and they pumped him up quite a bit. He scored on the power play, too. They gave him a power play. I think he's going to come in feeling it again today, and I'm going to give him a shot at plus 380. Thomas for an assist is minus 105. He gets an assist almost every game. And here's one for you. A guy that's been shooting a lot, Played really well against the Oilers, which of course it's his old team. But I like the way Broberg's been playing. And I think it's going to be a grindy type game. They're going to be going back to the point a lot. He's been getting a lot of minutes. Plus 1,400. I'm going to throw a little bit on Broberg to score a goal today.
Yeah, good stuff indeed. All right, there we go. So like I said, not a bad card for a 5-game night. They're not quite fully healthy. Some Bailey saying that PLD is out for the Capitals, but it's not like that's a life or death. It's not like that's the end of the world. That Pierre-Luc Dubois is injured, but he's not going to miss. By the way, about PLD's injury, he's going to miss a significant amount of time. He might need surgery, but he may not miss the entire season. They do expect him back at some point. So like I said, it just means that at the center ice spot, you're going to need to get more out of Connor McMichael and Hendrix Lapierre. Those are the guys that are going to move up now with PLD out for the Washington Capitals. So like I said, we'll see how they just navigate that center ice position moving forward without him. Great stuff. Shout out to the chat. Hit the like button. Check out wizardsportspicks.com. Great, of course, some of the best handicappers going right now on that site. Me, Alex, Matt Robinson, a bunch of great handicappers. It's been a very good start to the premium picks run at the website, 36-22 with all sports, 12-4 NHL run. NFL and college football have been good. 4-1 start in college basketball. Don't sleep on my college basketball prowess either. We're off to a nice start there. So make sure you check it out, wizardsportspicks.com. And also, of course, patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. A great response we've had. We will be announcing now. We're going to be announcing it, but the day of the betcast. So make sure you stay tuned for that with the Patreon exclusive live betcast. We're going to keep it a secret, okay? But it will be in the month of November. That we will be doing our exclusive live betcast. Tomorrow we'll announce the date for the regular betcast, the free-for-all betcast coming up in the month of November. But make sure you get on board. Goalie charts, totals charts, all the bonus content. You can watch all the past Player Suite shows we've done on the Patreon page as well. Make sure you check that out. And, of course, our daily betting card gets posted, sides, totals, player props, each and every day. On the Patreon page for our members. So make sure you get on board. $10 per month. Your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show. Check it out, patreon.com/iceguys.
And also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got all kind of different items. Shout out to Kev Cook in the chat. He was asking about if we have winter hats. We certainly do have winter hats, and it's getting cold, so now's the time to grab yourself a winter hat, get yourself a hoodie or a t-shirt or anything else. And that's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
We're getting to that time of the year. It's starting to cool off here in these parts, and we'll be rocking the Ice Guys hoodie a lot more on the shows moving forward, too, as the colder weather approaches. And that Ice Guys hoodie, I can attest to it because I wear it a lot. It's a great item at the store. So
Very
make
nice.
sure you check it out. Yeah. Very comfortable, too. Nice one on a cold winter night. And we're going to start getting some of those moving forward. So, like I said, make sure you check it out, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up in just a moment right after we hear from our great Ice Guy sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Please for yourself with none of this. the Kings and Queens shop.
Thanks to all our sponsors and Royal Cannabis included. RoyalCannabisShop.com, 20% off with promo code IceGuys. All right, bargain bin special of the night. Alex, what do you got?
I got a pair of them. They're both coming from that Chicago-Vancouver game. The first one that I like, it's hometown boy coming back. It's Connor Bedard. I like him to get 2 assists tonight. You can get that at FanDuel plus 500. I think he actually ends up getting 3 points tonight. All of those plays will be listed on the card that I have involving Bedard, but I really like him to get 2 apples at 5-1. Second play I like is Tyler Bertuzzi anytime goal. You can get that as high as plus 360. I grabbed 340. And that price has dropped a couple spots. So shop around for the best number. Tyler Bertuzzi in 6 games against Kevin Lankinen has scored 4 goals, including the matchup they had earlier this year. So give me Tyler Bertuzzi anytime goal plus 340 was the price that I got, along with Connor Bedard, 2 assists plus 500. My 2 bargain bin specials for today.
Good stuff there. All right, 2 bargain bin specials here for Alex on this Wednesday. Perlo, bargain bin special.
All right, I'm going to keep it just so I can say it. Newman plus 600. I'm going to take over Seattle. Yeah, that'll be it. I think I'm just going to go with that one. I'm just going to take Newman plus 600.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 2. I'm going to go with Matias Maccelli. I'm going to buy into him facing his old team back in the lineup after being a healthy scratch. Matias Maccelli for Toronto plus 450 against his old team, the Utah Mammoth, for my first bargain bin special of the night. And the second one is going to be, we cashed with him the other night, and sometimes I do this. We'll ride the hot hand. Andre Burakovsky plus 350 for the Chicago Blackhawks. I will go with that one as well. So Matias Maccelli plus 450 and Andre Burakovsky plus 350. 2 bargain bin specials of the night for yours truly on this Wednesday. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Let's go to that late game, San Jose, Seattle. And like I said, it's been draw season lately. I'm liking that draw quite a bit. So give me the draw there with Sharks and Kraken. It's my best bet.
Sharks, Kraken draw for Alex with best bet. Perlo, best bet.
I'm going to go to the Seattle game again, and I'm going to take Montour over 2.5 shots, minus 115.
All right, good stuff. Brandon Montour. I actually don't mind Bailey's bargain bin. Actually, Brandon Montour's been shooting lately. He's been scoring a little bit. So definitely as far as that goes, yeah, Brandon Montour might be worth a look there in that game. Best bet for me in this game. I've talked myself into taking. I'm gonna go for the gusto here. I like this situation. They've been talking about starting early, starting on time tonight, the Chicago Blackhawks. The ability to get them, and I'm going to go for the gusto here, minus a half, Chicago Blackhawks, plus 225 is the price on that. Let's go for a big score here. I think from a situational standpoint, this makes a ton of sense, and this also avoids me having to trust Chicago for 60 minutes to beat a team they never beat. So from that standpoint, I really like that even more. Focus on the first period. Chicago's trying to get a win here on this road trip after 3 straight road losses. You catch a Vancouver team that's still a bit banged up, that's coming back home off the 3-game road trip, and you pounce on them in the first 20 minutes. A Vancouver team that has a losing record at home entering this game tonight. So I will go for the big hit tonight with best bet. Chicago Blackhawks, first period puck line, minus a half, plus 225. Let's roll with that for best bet here for this Wednesday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And like I said, we got a big show tomorrow and a big card coming up Thursday. So we're excited about that. Looking forward to it. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week. Delayed start time on Mondays, Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and Perlo, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back with you tomorrow on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.